Hey, welcome to the video. Before we dive into these creepy real Reddit stories, I want to know, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now in your area? Seriously, scroll down and tell me in the comments. Are you watching this late at night? Lights off? Headphones in? You're brave if you are. It's always fun to see where everyone's tuning in from. I've seen people watching at 3 a.m. in pitch dark rooms and then regretting all of their life choices by the end of the video. So go ahead, drop your location and the time. Let's see who's watching at the spookiest hour. Now, what we've got lined up today are 5 real stories. Not made-up horror tales or urban legends. These are straight from Reddit, real people, sharing real experiences that messed them up or just left them completely shook. Some are paranormal, some are just disturbing in a very real way. Here's a quick look at what's coming up. First, we've got a story about a man who kept showing up at someone's window. Then there's a creepy camping encounter in the middle of nowhere. We'll also check out a disturbing baby monitor incident, a hitchhiker who may not have even existed, and finally, a family that found out someone was secretly living above them. So grab a snack, maybe keep a light on, and get ready for some stories that just might keep you up tonight. Alright, let's get into the first one. Alright, so this first story comes from a Reddit user who shared this a few years back, and it's honestly one of the most unsettling, what if this happened to me kind of stories I've read. The Redditor is a woman who had just moved into a new apartment, small, cozy, nothing too fancy. It was on the ground floor, and her window faced a small alley between buildings. Not much foot traffic, pretty quiet overall. At first, everything seemed normal. Now she had this habit of staying up late, reading, watching shows, just winding down after a long day. One night, maybe around midnight, she noticed something strange. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught movement outside the window. Just a flicker. At first, she thought it was nothing, just shadows from the alley, maybe a cat. But the next night, around the same time, it happened again. This time, she actually looked up and saw a man, just standing there, completely still, not saying anything, not moving, just staring through the window, right at her. She said it didn't feel like he'd just happened to pass by. It felt intentional. He was standing too still, like he'd been there a while. She freaked out, obviously, pulled the curtains shut, double-checked the locks, and sat there trying to convince herself it was probably just some weirdo walking through the alley. But then it happened again the night after that. Same time, same place, same man. So she finally called the police. They said they'd send someone out to patrol the area and suggested she keep her blinds closed and call immediately if she saw him again. A few nights go by. Nothing happens. No man. No movement. And just when she starts to relax, he comes back. This time, she doesn't just call the cops. She watches him while she waits for them. And here's where it gets worse. She realizes something. This man isn't looking at her. He's looking slightly down at her laptop, which was open on her desk by the window. Now, that might not sound terrifying until you realize what was on the screen. Her laptop had her calendar open. Specifically, a page with her work schedule, her meetings, her night classes, her routine. That's when it hit her. This guy had been watching long enough to learn her habits. He wasn't just creeping. He was studying her. The cops finally arrive and he's gone, of course. But the officers take it seriously. They start searching the alley and find something behind a dumpster, an old blanket, food wrappers, and a phone charger. Someone had been living out there, camping out, possibly watching her for days. What's even scarier, the window had one of those flimsy old latches. If she hadn't always locked it from the inside, it wouldn't have been hard for him to just climb in one night. She moved out within a week. Alright, let's move on to the next one. If you've ever been camping, or even just thought about it, this story might make you rethink that next weekend getaway into the woods. This one comes from a Redditor who posted it under a throwaway account, which honestly makes it feel even creepier. Like they didn't want this tied to their main identity because it was that disturbing. They say this happened when they were in college, early 20s, just enjoying a break from classes with a small group of friends. So here's the setup. 4 friends decide to go camping deep in a national forest. I won't name which one, but it's in the US, and they picked a spot way off the main trails. Not a campground, not a place with cabins or bathrooms or fire pits, just nature, raw and silent. They hiked for hours, found a remote clearing, and set up 2 tents, 2 people in each. Now the first day is great. They cook some food, tell stories, laugh, enjoy the peace and quiet away from city noise. It's the kind of trip that feels almost too perfect, right? But then night falls. The thing about being deep in the woods is that it gets really dark. Like can't see your hand in front of your face, dark. No streetlights, no distant houses. Just trees, stars, and whatever lives out there. They all go to sleep around midnight. Our storyteller is sharing a tent with their best friend. At first, everything's normal. But at some point in the night, maybe around 2 or 3 a.m., they both wake up because they hear something. It's a light sound at first, like footsteps, but very slow and very soft. Too soft for an animal. You know how when you hear a raccoon or a deer, it's fast and scattered. This wasn't that. This was deliberate. Crunch, crunch, crunch on the dry leaves. Then it stops. Total silence. They're lying there, holding their breath, trying to convince themselves it was probably just one of the other 2 friends stepping out to pee or something. Except, after about a minute, they hear a sound that neither of them can explain. It's a knock. A literal knock. On the side of their tent, just 3 soft taps. Tap, tap, tap. They freeze. Neither of them speaks. They don't even breathe loud. And then it happens again on the other side of the tent. Tap, tap, tap. Like someone slowly walking around the tent, knocking as they go, not saying anything, not making any other sounds, just knocking. Now they're really freaking out. One of them grabs a flashlight, but doesn't turn it on yet. They don't want to make noise, don't want to let whatever or whoever is out there know that they're awake. After what feels like forever, it stops. Dead quiet again. No more footsteps, no more knocking. They stay like that for hours too, afraid to even whisper. At sunrise, they finally unzip the tent and look around. And guess what? No tracks, no sign of animals. The forest floor is mostly dry leaves and dirt, so you'd expect to see some kind of disturbance if someone, or something, was walking around. But there's nothing. When they check with their other 2 friends, they're told they slept through the whole night, didn't hear anything, didn't get up, which means it wasn't them. At this point, everyone's a little on edge, but they try to brush it off. Maybe it was an animal, maybe their imagination, maybe the wind. So they stay. One more night. This time, they all agree to sleep with a knife or something nearby, just in case. That night, everything is fine for a while. No weird sounds. Everyone falls asleep until, around the same time, 2:30 or 3 in the morning, the knocking comes back. Only this time, it's not just one tent. It's both tents, simultaneously, like someone, or something, is slowly circling both tents, tapping at the sides. Our storyteller swears they saw a silhouette through the thin nylon wall of the tent. A human shape, just standing there, not moving, not speaking, just watching. That was enough. They didn't wait for daylight. They packed up their stuff in a panic, grabbed their flashlights, and hiked out, in the dark, with only the moon lighting their path. And here's the kicker. They never went back to that area again. The Redditor ends the post by saying, "I don't know if it was a prank, or a hunter, or something else entirely, but I've never felt fear like that before. Like something was playing with us, testing us, and I don't think it wanted us to stay. That one always gets me." There's something extra creepy about the woods at night, how isolating it is. How help is hours away, and the idea that someone could be watching from the shadows, or worse, messing with you. Yeah, no thank you. Let me know if you've ever had anything weird happen while camping. And if you haven't, maybe stick to cabins. Now the next story takes us inside the house. A couple starts hearing voices through a baby monitor, but no one else is around. Alright, so this next one seriously creeped me out. Not because it's full of jump scares or anything, but because it hits close to home, literally. Imagine being inside your own house, thinking you're safe, and then hearing voices you can't explain. That's exactly what happened to this couple. So, the story comes from a Reddit user who had just become a parent. They had a newborn baby just a few months old, and were trying to adjust to the whole sleep-deprived, constantly worried lifestyle that comes with that. You know, baby cries, you jump up, you check the monitor, you hope they go back to sleep in 10 minutes. Normal stuff. Now the couple had a basic baby monitor, not a fancy smart one. No Wi-Fi, no camera, just a simple audio monitor. One unit in the baby's room, the other with them in the bedroom. It only picked up sound, and it was on its own little radio frequency. Very low tech. One night, they're watching TV downstairs. It's maybe 11 p.m., and the baby's already asleep in the crib. They've got the monitor on the coffee table in front of them, just like always. Nothing unusual. Then, out of nowhere, they hear voices coming from the monitor. Not baby noises, not static, actual voices. At first, it's faint, like two people whispering, so low you can't quite make out the words. They both freeze, look at each other. The mom grabs the monitor and turns the volume up, and now they can hear it more clearly. It's a man's voice and a woman's voice. Talking about their baby. The man says something like, "She's finally asleep." The woman replies, "Should we go in now?" The couple is freaking out. They grab a flashlight and run upstairs, thinking someone is literally in the nursery. But when they burst in, nothing. No one's there. The baby's sound asleep. The window's locked, the closet's empty. There's no sign of anyone breaking in. Now, here's where things get even stranger. They check the monitor again, and it's quiet. Completely normal. No voices, no whispers. Just the low hum of the baby breathing. They're totally rattled, but they convince themselves maybe, just maybe, it picked up interference from a neighbor's monitor. Or a baby monitor in the next house over. Could have been a fluke, right? Except they live on a quiet street. No neighbors nearby with a baby, no one close enough to pick up on that kind of signal. A few nights go by. Nothing happens. Then around 2 a.m, the mom wakes up. She hears something from the monitor next to her bed. It's faint again, but now she knows what to listen for. Voices. Same ones. This time, the woman's voice says, "She's waking up again." Then the man says, "Not yet. Just wait." Now she's completely terrified. She wakes her husband up, and he hears it too. They both run to the nursery again, this time armed with a baseball bat and a kitchen knife, not even kidding, but there's nothing. Again. They switch baby monitors the next day, buy a whole new set, different brand, still no Wi-Fi, still, basic a week passes, no voices, things seem to settle down. And then, on a random Tuesday morning, the dad walks into the nursery to check on the baby and finds the crib has been moved. Not just nudged. It's a full 6 inches away from where it was the night before, and the baby's pacifier is lying on the windowsill, which was locked from the inside. Neither of them can explain it. They didn't move the crib. The baby's not old enough to do anything like that. And there's no way a pacifier ends up on the sill without someone placing it there. After that, they decide to move. Not kidding, they sell the house. They never find out who the voices belong to, or if it really was someone messing with the monitor, or something else. They end the story by saying, "I don't care how rational or tech-savvy you are. When you hear strangers talking about your child through a device that's not even connected to the internet, you stop asking questions and start packing boxes. Now, I don't know about you, but that's nightmare fuel right there. Imagine being a tired parent and then getting hit with some ghost babysitter situation through a piece of plastic meant to keep your kids safe." Yeah, no thanks. All right, deep breath. Grab some water if you need to. The next story involves a hitchhiker who vanishes into thin air, but leaves behind something that still haunts the man who picked him up. Okay, this one really messed with my head, because it's the kind of story where you don't know if it was supernatural, or if your brain is playing tricks on you, or if you just came way too close to something you weren't meant to understand. This guy shared his story on Reddit years ago, and it stuck with me. He was in his early 30s at the time, working as a truck driver, long hauls, mostly rural routes, driving through the night, miles and miles of empty highway. And if you've ever driven alone at night on one of those endless roads with no lights, no signs, just pitch black countryside, you know how eerie that feels. So it's a normal week for him. He's somewhere out in the Midwest. He didn't want to name the exact location, but it's flat, quiet, and about 2 out in the morning. He's driving along this old state highway when he sees something up ahead. A man, walking on the side of the road, which is weird because he's in the middle of nowhere. No towns nearby, no broken down cars, just this dude walking, head down, wearing a long coat. It's cold, like early spring kind of cold, and the guy doesn't even have gloves or anything. Our trucker guy slows down and pulls over. He figures, maybe the guy needs help. Maybe he ran out of gas and walked for miles. Or maybe he just needs a ride to the next stop. So he rolls down the window and says, "You all right?" The guy doesn't look up at first. Just kind of stands there. Then he finally walks up to the truck, doesn't say much. Just, "Can you take me up the road?" Now the trucker admits this gave him a weird feeling. The guy didn't seem drunk, didn't seem scared, but there was something off about him. Still, it's late, and he's been on the road for hours. He tells himself not to overthink it, so he unlocks the passenger door and the guy climbs in. And here's where it starts getting really strange. They drive in silence for a few minutes. The hitchhiker doesn't make conversation, doesn't ask where they're going, just stares straight ahead. At one point, the trucker tries to lighten the mood, says something like, "You walking long?" And the guy just answers, "Not anymore." That's it. Cold, flat, just weird. Eventually, they hit a stretch of road with a little more light, and the trucker glances over to get a better look at the guy, and that's when he notices it. The man's clothes, especially the coat, look old. Like not thrift store old. Not dirty or worn, just out of place. Like 1950s style, wool, high collar. And the buttons? Big, shiny, brass buttons. The kind you'd see on military uniforms. Totally out of style. And no brand tag, no zippers. It just looked like it belonged to another time. He starts getting this feeling in his stomach, like something's really wrong. So he asks, "Where exactly are you headed?" The man just points ahead. No words, just a hand gesture toward the... But a minute later, they pass this small bridge, and that's when the hitchhiker speaks again. "Here's fine." The trucker slows down, pulls over, and turns to say something like, "You sure?" But the seat is empty. No one there. The door never opened. He never felt movement beside him. The guy's just gone. He slams on the brakes, throws on his flashers, jumps out of the truck and checks around. Flashlight, shouting, full 360. Nothing. The road is dead silent. There's nowhere to hide. Flat land, open highway, no ditches, no bushes, no trees. And then he notices something sitting on the passenger seat. A glove. Just one. Old leather. Smells like dust and cold. And when he picks it up, he swears it feels warm. Like someone was just wearing it. He kept the glove. Still has. It says it never got dirty, never got stiff, and when he leaves it somewhere, it always ends up back in the glove box. He says, "I don't pick up hitchhikers anymore. I don't care if it's pouring rain or they look 100% normal. If they're walking on the side of the road at 2 a.m., they're gonna keep walking, because I don't know what I picked up that night." But it wasn't just a guy. Phew, man, I love these stories that just linger, you know? They don't scream at you. They just creep into your head and stay there. Like, what if he picked up something from another time? Or someone that never got to where they were going? Or worse, something pretending to be human. Let me know what you think. Would you have picked him up? Or driven right past? Now, the last story is just as chilling, but in a different way. It's about a guy who moves into a new apartment and starts finding notes written by himself, in handwriting he doesn't remember writing. Alright, let's end this episode with a story that had me double-checking my ceiling after I read it. No ghosts, no urban legends, just a terrifying reminder that the scariest things sometimes aren't supernatural. They're real. So this one comes from a Reddit user who had just moved into a new rental house with their spouse and baby. Quiet neighborhood. One-story home. Nothing fancy, but perfect for a young family starting out. For the first few weeks, everything's normal. They unpack, set up the nursery, get into a routine. But then they start hearing sounds at night from the ceiling. At first, it's just faint, like scratching. Or maybe something shifting. They assume it's squirrels or raccoons in the attic. Pretty common, right? So they call pest control. The guy comes out, inspects the attic crawl space and says, "There's no sign of any animals up there, no. Droppings, no chewed wires, no nests, nothing. Just a thin layer of dust and insulation." He sets a couple traps anyway, just in case, and leaves. That night, the noises come back. But now it's not scratching. It's footsteps. Soft, deliberate footsteps. Like someone crawling or crouching up there. Slow, steady, moving above their bedroom. The husband grabs a flashlight, pulls down the attic ladder, and climbs up to check it out. Again, nothing, no one. Just the quiet, dark space under the roof. A few boxes left by the previous tenant. That's it. A few more days go by. Then one evening, around 11 p.m., the wife is in the kitchen when she hears a distinct thud above her. Then what sounds like something being dragged. She calls her husband over. He hears it too. They both freeze. This isn't an animal. It sounds like something big, and it's definitely moving. They call the landlord, who says, "Look, there's nothing in the lease about storage in the attic. You shouldn't be up there anyway." Super helpful, right? But they can't let it go. That night, the husband decides he's going up there again. But this time, with his phone recording, he climbs the ladder. The crawl space is completely still. No movement. But in the far corner, behind one of the old boxes, he sees something that wasn't there before. A sleeping bag, a bottle of water, and a fast food wrapper. Fresh. He nearly falls off the ladder. They call the cops immediately. The police arrive and do a full sweep of the attic and the rest of the house. But whoever was up there is already gone. They find a tiny cutout in the insulation near the edge of the attic, like a hideaway spot. Someone had been living there, sneaking down when the family was out or asleep, eating their food, using their bathroom. Watching them, the police believe it might have been a squatter, maybe even someone who used to live in the house before they moved in and never fully left. The truly terrifying part? They later checked their baby monitor's cloud footage. 1. Night, 3:17 a.m., a figure is seen standing in the nursery doorway. Not moving, just standing there, then backing out slowly and disappearing into the hallway. They had slept through the entire thing. They moved out the next day. Didn't even finish packing. Just grabbed their essentials and left. I don't know about you, but that one chilled me to the bone. Not because it's some ghost or legend, but because it could happen. Someone in your home, watching, living above you without you even knowing. So if you're hearing weird noises above your ceiling tonight, yeah, maybe it's just the wind, or maybe someone's watching you right now. Let me know which story creeped you out the most. Have you ever experienced anything even remotely like this? Share it down in the comments. I seriously want to read through your creepy stories too. And hey, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're into this kind of content, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Until then, sleep tight. And maybe check your attic.